Deep inside Tehran sat a man who spent 36 years as one of the most protected individuals on the planet. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was the unyielding core of Iran's leadership structure, the symbol around which the entire state revolved. His base of operations, the Pastor Street compound, spanned 30 surface acres, guarded by a 3-layer security system. But the real fortress was subterranean, a tunnel network stretching 5 kilometers through the bedrock of the city, allowing him to move between government buildings entirely out of sight. In 2018, Mossad agents broke into a secret warehouse in Tehran and stole 500 tons of documents detailing Iran's nuclear history. The files showed Israel that their surgical strikes were only slowing the clock. For every facility destroyed, Khamenei and his team had already drafted plans to rebuild the program elsewhere. Attacking a head of state directly carried the risk of triggering a full-scale, uncontainable war. To avoid a global political backlash, Israel took a strategic delay, using the time to build an intelligence operation that wouldn't just hit a target, but would map it completely. Eliminating Khamenei wasn't a traditional military problem. It was an intelligence challenge that required absolute omniscience over an impenetrable fortress. The first layer of surveillance was orbital. U.S. and Israeli agencies deployed KH-11 and Orion satellites to create a top-down net over Tehran, tracking radio signals, antenna configurations, and even calculating the height of objects from their shadows. This massive flow of raw signal data was routed for processing at a secret CIA facility in the Australian desert, Pine Gap. Iran attempted to go dark. They wrapped the compound in fiber optic cables to prevent signal leakage and timed their physical movements to match the exact minutes when satellites were passing in their blind spots. But space-based surveillance had finally reached its absolute limit. To see what was happening inside the walls, Israeli intelligence had to breach the digital perimeter from the ground. The solution sat in plain sight on Tehran's street corners. Unit 8200 exploited a remote code execution bug in the Chinese-made Hikvision cameras monitoring the city, effectively hacking the city's entire visual grid to watch the compound gates in real time. They pushed the breach further, deploying Pegasus spyware onto the mobile phones of Khamenei's inner circle, infecting the devices of his guards, his personal drivers, and even his cooks. Human assets were moved into position as well. Compromised plumbers and cleaners mapped escape routes and sifted through the compound's waste for discarded schedules or travel logs. Hacked cameras and ground spies gave Mossad a live feed of the inner circle, but it also created an avalanche of raw data that was impossible for human analysts to sort through. No team of people can cross-reference millions of hours of street footage, phone records, and trash logs simultaneously. The intelligence was there, but the bottleneck was the human brain. To process it, they turned to Palantir's Maven smart system. The AI ingested the entire dataset, looking for the tiny repetitions that define a human life. The software mapped Khamenei's exact pattern of life. It predicted his convoy routes, identified guard shift overlaps, and even analyzed his specific walking posture to ensure they could distinguish him from a body double. The AI had removed the chaos. The world's most protected man had been converted into a predictable, mathematical target. On the morning of February 28, 2026, the pattern shifted. Intelligence confirmed that Khamenei and 40 of his top officials were holding a high-level meeting on the surface of the compound, rather than in the safety of the bunker. The attack started in the shadows. Unit 8200 activated dormant malware hidden in the supply chain of Iran's air defense network, while U.S. jamming aircraft flooded the local airspace with electromagnetic waves. All of Iran's defense targeting computers were completely blinded. Seconds later, smuggled sleeper drones were activated inside Iran. They converged on the physical batteries of the S-300 and Bavar 373 systems, blowing them up before they could even attempt a lock. With the defenses down, a joint strike force launched 30 hypersonic Blue Sparrow missiles, all directed at the pinpoint location of the meeting. A decade of invisible preparation ended in 12 minutes. The Iranian leadership was wiped out in a single, uncontested strike. Minutes after the explosion, millions of Iranians received a push notification from the Badi Saba religious app, a tool used for daily prayer. The message ordered the Iranian army to surrender. By hijacking an app used for daily prayer, the CIA and Mossad demonstrated that they had compromised the most private digital corners of Iranian life. Yet one question remains. Why would a hyper-paranoid leader hold a massive high-level meeting outside his bunker on that exact morning? The timing points to a high-level betrayal. General Ismail Khamenei left the room just before the missiles hit, surviving just as he had in 9 previous attacks, where everyone else was killed. A hypersonic missile is simply the delivery mechanism. The operation's success relied on the convergence of AI, deep cover cyber warfare, and high-level human compromise. In the modern era, no physical bunker is deep enough to hide a leader from his own data.